as, man, I guess that swap has paid dividends, and I think he will look back at that and say Kirsty's Hand's now in a great position, at least better than the old team. Now we got to move on to the next section, which, you know, I think is going to be an interesting one as we take a look at some of those maps as we continue on in this region to see how the competition has fared. This is the 3-1 kind of competition, Nick, where everyone's a lot closer than they have been.
We had our big matchups last week, I think, here, and I think that last week might pit Onslaught up against Kirsty's Hands one more time, but it's going to be Onslaught versus Vampire Lord, and this should traditionally be an easy matchup for Onslaught, but they have slipped as of late.
They have, and you know what? It's going to be interesting that Happy Battle Cats now no longer the strength of them. Kirsty's Hands really the team I think that Onslaught have to worry about. Onslaught subbing in last week with Tay, and I wonder if we'll get their full squad back right now, because that would be the real tell of the story. We'll have to wait as viewers to see. Surprise you with the answer. Bright Marsh here picked up from map 1.
And is this, I assume this is Vampire Lord's map pick. Most of the guys that go for, we want to choose first pick here, it's their map as well. Koa, that famous Saris. Taken off the table.
It is a dangerous one, I gotta tell you. And in console, I can see the efficacy very, very clearly. It is no longer a muddied up opportunity for me. I see the light on the Saris here. Willow here taking Onslaught by Onslaught first, and then the Drogo. So a totally different prioritization in terms of front lines. And they definitely want their blasters.
And they'll get them both. Genos will come through here from Vampire Lord. Might be looking to go for a 3 DPS of their own comp, just to be able to dive and be aggressive onto blasters whose traditional playstyle is just, you know, sit back, take it easy, and do damage from a safe distance.
Sin and Genos. Vampire Lord doing their best to go through these drafts as they're coming through. Torvald Furia here for Onslaught, so a lot of damage, a lot of healing. Not a lot of sustain as far as the Torvald. He sustains others more than himself. Like a grandfather worrying over his grandchildren more so than his well-being, but the last pick should settle things out. Inara is still available. That's what they'll go for.
That'll play. 10th pick Inara on Bright Marsh.
Sounds good to me. Value Town.
8th and 9th. Furia Inara picks. Let's go. Let's go, baby. And they get the Torvald as well. Torvald, in this case, won't be much of an offensive tool, but whoever Vampire Lord end up diving onto is going to get that protection bubble, and it's going to make him very hard to kill in the back line. Best case for Vampire Lord at this juncture is to spread the pressure out, wait for the bubble, I think, and then try and commit onto a target, because it's going to be very dangerous to commit when protection bubble is up.
Well, we'll have to see if they can find those moments. It certainly was Kirsty's Hands who found the moments earlier, and so they apply the pressure to Onslaught here to continue trying to find wins and match the top. It'll be Bright Marsh where everything starts, but not where it ends. Best of 3, game 1 here coming up.
And a happy little tune to take us home on Bright Marsh.
I'm jamming. You jamming?
I'm jamming. Ooh, Defiant Fist. Let's go. Hill time.
Miracle is back.
He is indeed the support himself. Fusillade, the selection for Scappy, Field Study, Solar Blessing, Treacherous Ground, and Nightshade for the guys of Onslaught, running a double blaster composition. Could be plenty of damage here coming through.
I remember Sleepy is jumping in now for Jordan, I believe, and this will be interesting. Vampire Lord making changes, and that's important. You know, maybe you're not in contest for going to land, but you are in contest for showing off the best quality of Paladins you can put together. And I think that is what they're hoping to do today. The Genos, relatively easy support to get your feet wet in as you're joining a squad. 48% though for Onslaught. I mean, what are you going to do?
You can't drag your feet like this, Evan. It's too long for Vampire Lord to get going. And you can see everyone's still kind of in the back line. The wall goes up. Even if you literally 5-for-0 Onslaught at this point, they have captured 90% for nothing. Wonderful could have just stayed on the objective and literally just taken the payload.
I just wonder where and why they didn't go. That was close. Miracle maybe just a second off, and they've done it, Nick. They did drag their feet, but they got the job done. So better late than never. That's the saying that I've got to stick to here. 36%. I mean, you've got an Andro. You've got Richie on the Zen. They can zone this out. But they let the Inara get to halfway already. Oh my, oh, she gets all the way. That's the only person you didn't want doing that.
Trying to cut off this barricade, and Baldy in a spot here for it, sure, in between an Inara wall, a Warder's Field.
Defiant Fist?
It is Defiant Fist from Hilltime.
Look at that.
And Vampire Lords, they turn it around despite the kills coming through for Onslaught. Just too little too late, no overtime.
Yeah, and I mean, the difference, Nick, is that, you know, obviously Miracle, he hits that Stellar Blessing, you know, GG. There's no way, right? And it's a 50-50. Vampire Lord and Onslaught, people feel that, you know, these compositions can match up for each other, most likely because of iGoodLad's incredible performance on Androxus. But we're seeing the Defiant Fist, and to me, it felt that the Fist was so much more reliable on console as well, Nick, because, you know, those little moments of aiming or when someone's around you, I mean, that is going to be not hard to miss.
Fusillade as well as the selection here for Skeppy. So much damage, even in those salvos, because it, you know, that's a talent that does supplement the damage of your salvo as well as your in-hand. I mean, if Torvald throws a bubble on the Skeppy for that salvo spit combo, it is going to do so much damage.
Yep.
It could probably one-tap Barrick. It could probably just 100 to 0.
Oh yeah, I mean 3,400 damage. I can see it. 300 to rocket. 6 rockets. I mean, I think you already have 1,800 there. 1,000 from the fire spit. 30% more. Yeah, should be at that number. Nice shot midair to shut down the accursed arm. Skeppy saying see you later.
And the beautiful ragdoll death just to really send that point home. The wall just a little bit too late there. Wanted to cut off Vivian's escape route. Spamming these rockets down home. That's not Wrecker. That's just Fusillade hitting for 1,105.
Beautiful, beautiful stuff there. Skeppy really kind of controlling this defense. And you have to say Vampire Lord did well, but one of the things we noticed about Onslaught is obviously not having Miracle. Weren't able to clean up that set last week, which put them in this type of position where things are still going on. They still haven't secured their spot. I think we'll have to wait till next week to really decide who secures it here. But the other thing is that, you know, with Flashpoint earlier today, they had a tough round 1 in both games. Maybe just getting their feet wet. Is that going to be a deciding factor when you do get to land, Nick? Who can start better than the other team?
I think so. I mean, in these best of 3s, it's definitely more important to start a little bit quicker out of the gate, but when you do get those best of 5s, you have more games to give, more time to adjust, things like that. That's why those best of 7s can be so fun to watch down the stretch for PC, because you get to really see what a team is made out of and how they can adapt and adjust over the course of a series. And just as this round would have come to a close, Vampire Lord is able to get a couple of kills, get themselves an actual viable overtime started.
Time here on the way. Richie, not one to be questioned on the Zen. Definitely knows what he's doing and finds a kill on a Skeppy, but Barrick just, man, he's caught out and ragdolls to the ground. Pretty good example of what we'd expect most of the time here. The only front line. That Androxus just...
That glorious corpse flying through the air.
Where did it go wrong? And he lands on top of Brightmarsh.
Man, the disrespect. Skeppy just hits him with the...
Needs to
get that out of here, brother.
Get some new roofing now. Replace the ceiling. Unbelievable stuff. Androxus is kind of heavy boy. You wouldn't think it, but weighs 1,500 pounds.
Man, it's that bone density.
It's that bone density.
That'll get you
from the Nether Realm. Skeppy here has the Dragon Punch charged up and ready, so maybe hoping to do a little bit of work onto the Barrack earlier on than before. Going up for a beautiful salvo spit. Realizes that everyone's dead and he's not needed. And then says, well, who should I? Well, it doesn't really matter, does it?
You better decide who you want to kill quick, or
they're
teammates
already
are
dead.
going to handle it. Onslaught. Different approach to this round. Very AFK style on the objective. Fire and forget the Inara. And they sort of ceded map control by proxy of that choice to Vampire Lord, but not the case this time around. They went out and they killed everyone.
I think you might see a seismic crash here soon to keep the momentum up. 72% and counting. There's the Dragon Punch. So this is the ult they use. And Skeppy finds Baldy. And now,
man,
5 streak for Onslaught. They look a completely different team. And, you know, where was this round 1? I don't know. But sometimes in those best of 7s, Nick, it's one game that makes the difference. And a bad start on a short map like this, I mean, that could seed it. So you have to be very, very careful. And those are the little things you'd hope to see perfected for these teams.
Skeppy just continuously laying down the fire here. Onslaught historically such a dominant team. Maybe just looking to flex that here, and that's, I mean, that is a style choice, right? We see like a Navi do fairly well with that sort of choice, but the first like small mistake there was, I think, Wonderful stepping off the objective in the first place in that first round. I think, you know, Barrick was backing off on his own accord, and you could have just stayed there and captured the payload through. That was what opened the door here, but it appears that Onslaught just work better when they hold forward at their opponents and walk them down.
Really good stuff from Trinsic as well. Hits the nullify so that Richie can't get out into the billow, and Wonderful just wonderfully stepping left, right, 1 foot in front of the other. Reminds me of some old Christmas tunes, and there's some Christmas joy here as they push it 3-1. Bright Marsh looking like their map if they continue to be this dominant.
Plenty of ultimates online as well.
High Vizier Torvald also.
Seeing if he can bring his boys home here. Trinsic, the beast himself, 14-4. Is Skeppy on this Fusillade Drogos? Double Blaster isn't a very common composition.
It's not. No, it's not.
For really anyone here. And the way that Skeppy is playing this Drogos kind of makes sense when you think about the player that he is. He's a guy that doesn't play a lot of Blaster. He just hits a lot of shots.
Yeah.
So Fusillade is a choice that I think makes sense for him doing this job.
Vampire Lord. A team that I think has a lot of room to improve, and they know it, and they're making adjustments. Sleepy's hasn't been horrible in this general, so there's not a lot to, you know, kind of point out about his impact, but the Inflame early on just shows that Onslaught don't want this story to be told about anyone else but them. Baldy up, and oh man, almost gets it over. Trinsic tries to put it together, but he just can't send the dwarf into the water. But he's going to do basically enough.
Zipping around, Hilltime managed to sneak 2 kills away.
Watch out.
Now he's working on Trinsic.
The fist.
Recharge not up as well. Hilltime picks up 3 in this engagement. Reversal doesn't land. Dashes are ready to go. And does Hilltime just hard carry this fight for his squad? That's the question.
It's super possible. I think Andro is in that spot right now. He can hard carry a fight. I remember having just the worst time of just trying to get my team together because they all died to this Andraxis, who was just OP. It was just, he killed everyone. And that is definitely the champion. That'll do it. Right now, though, fighting into the Solar Blessing. Hilltime, this is his last chance. He's trying to get Skeppy. Can he find the mid-air rocket? No, he's just going to go back to the point. He realizes Vivian's in there, and he says it's time to bring out the dragon. He's going to go with the boosters. He hits him. Baldy goes down, and now he's in the right spot for rockets on to the damage dealer, Sray. He will fall overtime. It will fall as well. 93%, but Onslaught, they're going to carry this game. Take it as a victory.
Boom. Boom. Good old Wardersfield. Anyone who would dare come and step to Inara, find their efforts to be in vain there. That was beautiful little execution there down the stretch of not only we saw them be passive on the objective, aggressive on the objective, lose objective fights, and lose them and then come back and have a victory. So Onslaught showing us that anything that comes their way, they have a way to deal with it.
They certainly do. Now game 2 on the rise. Will this be enough? Onslaught need 1 more to secure that they are in contention, still possibly able to go to land despite losing 4-1. How?
This is their map
to 4-0 here. I think that would be a very big thing for them to be able to send it through that way.
This is their map. Hopefully they can get it done that way. They will ban out the Torvald. Sarah stays in, and what a valuable player to have on your squad when, you know, commanding bans. I think there's always been at least 1 personal ban against Wonderful, no matter what team he's been on, no matter what team he's been playing against. And that just opens up space for you guys to work with, to draft with, to get somebody else on a comfort pick.
And, you know, this is one of those metas where we don't, you know, give Console enough credit for starting some things. And they've done it in the past, but really this Ceres, I mean, can translate IC to PC potentially very well. And, I mean, you think of Wonderful, you think of even Swiper doing it the other day. You know, these have kind of helped to make these waves within the scene of Paladins to say that, man, Soul Collector Ceres has never been picked, never been used like that. But it's got the value, and it can work.
Lizin Makoa here for Vampire Lord. No double blaster this time for Onslaught. They grab the Genos. Yet again, didn't quite work for them. I feel like Genos overall is kind of a low impact character because he is so easy to operate with.
Right.
It's tough to have like a spike in performance unless it is killing everyone with a time and space, because you can't mess up the other 90% of the kit, in my opinion.
Totally true. Barrick and Vivian here. Grab for Onslaught, so that'll do. Vivian is a very, very good champion on Stone Keep. She has a lot of corridors. You got to get to her. Is that why Vampire Lord are hovering over this Eevee? Haven't seen her a lot today, but could be extremely effective, and there it is.
I'm down. I mean,
2 for 1 in terms of voice actors, I think. Willow and Eevee sounding exactly the same. So who's going to win?
Vampire Lord have drafted themselves a very difficult to pull off composition for sure. I've never seen a console Eevee be very successful,
right?
But I'm always open to the idea of someone being that guy.
I am too, but I mean, the way Skeppy played on the Drogos earlier on, now that Cool Matt will be able to pilot it, you would assume, unless they stick him there and they put him, Cool Matt, on the Vivian, which I would assume would go to Skeppy, it's going to be a really nice, I think, transitional game onto a map they're comfortable with, onto picks that they've had success with, and onto champions that don't require too much to get the job done. Vivian, I mean, let's be real. She doesn't require too much to do what she needs to do, and it's Skeppy who is going to be holding on to this Drogos. I definitely am a fan of these kind of ideas where, you know, somebody maybe he's the Willow main, Blaster main, but he just has a good, somebody else has a good game on Drogos, like, just keep him on it. Let the rhythm go. Don't fight it, Nick. Don't fight the feeling.
I wouldn't dare. At this point, talk about a guy who's going for the high execution route. Hilltime goes for Defiant Fist. Andro now onto young Eevee. Dragging their feet, though, not going for the traditional keep fight here. They'll cede all that ground, send up their high-speed flankers once the backs are turned, but getting kills, that's a bit of a different story.
Yeah, Hilltime, you could tell he's a very good player, but man, Vampire Lord sure have their fans, don't they? I mean, I think when Flashpoint played, it was like 100 to 0. There's no chance the other team's winning, and they had a pretty good draft. This one a lot harder to execute. Onslaught win 4-1, and Vampire Lord still have some votes. I wonder if they're like, yeah, some of the players are like,
also a Cleveland Browns fan.
Also a Cleveland Browns fan. There it is. Just because you were born
He's
in a
at every game.
place.
Never missed a Vampire Lord's game.
You know, hey man, probably some of the cheapest season tickets you can have.
Probably, dude.
Shout outs to value.
Now we got Baker Mayfield and Nick Chubb, UGA Bulldog himself.
Talk about
from Athens to Akron, turning it all around.
It's like the Nick Keough story, but
I know, right?
reverse.
It's crazy. It was meant to be.
Saray here. And I wonder if that's a reference to the only other person I know who has a name like that, which is the rapper. And 99% and counting here for Onslaught. But it is slowly but surely allowing this Willow to kind of get going. Wonderful having an issue with this Barracks. Going to rocket boots away. They're trying to win it back. Skeppy goes up into the air, finds a mid-air onto the Willow, and Onslaught get this one back. Skeppy, not with the triple, the double will do.
Ooh.
He'll find the third a little bit later on in the story. But boy, oh boy, the finale is still the same.
Pretty good for him today. A little residual damage there onto the Eevee. 2-tappable as well. How hard that is. Part of that conversation, that's always around Drogos, right? Whatever matchup you want to throw his way, it's just a 2-tap away from going back.
Just a 2-tap away, my friend.
It's like that fairy godmother.
Yeah,
something.
I'm just
happiness is just a teardrop away.
It's just a 2-tap away. Man. I like to think that we all have our own version of fairy godmothers out there. Is Vampire Lords available right now? We'll have to wait and see. Can they pull out the miracle?
Well, they do have both the fairy.
They do. So I guess chances are pretty high, if it does exist, that they'd be able to do something here. So far, though, Hilltime not having the most amount of success, but Richie Stone is in. It's going to help at least make the pressure a little bit lessened. Skeppy, though, is a real issue, and Eevee has a tough time fighting against Drogos midair.
Hey, making nice and easy for you.
She's Void Grip.
Put the old training wheels on. And I wonder if the aim settings will help a character like Eevee.
You would hope. Having a hard time juggling the damage between the barricade, but I think actually they realize Wonderful's going to have to reset, so they stall that one out. 60 seconds left. Onslaught trying to push through and claim a 2-0 here, and also a 2-0 in the set, and they look pretty primed to do it. 50 seconds left, and Vampire Lord are at death's door here on the defense.
Every ultimate available for Onslaught. All but one available for Vampire Lord. Wonderful starts the approach here. Fernando starts to head up to the high ground as well. Start clearing things out with the flamethrower. Dome shield committed deep onto the objective, and the end flame is here. They do indeed challenge Makoa. The Ancient Rage doesn't get off. I don't know if he'll be back in time to actually get value.
6 seconds is a long time when you got a Fusillade around.
Come on,
She's not even looking at him.
Come on, Skeppy!
Oh, and a Skeppy.
Bruh.
Not quite a phrase.
She's gonna see those 9 misses on the kill cam, bro.
She's like, what?
Come on now.
And you know, maybe that's just Skeppy saying, my game sense is so good that I don't even have to hit you out of my 9 attempts. I'll hit you on the 10th, and I'll still get the job done. A little bit of help from the hitbox friends.
Oh, man.
But still doing a good job on the Strobus nonetheless. Hits a great shot on the Baldy, which actually bursts him so much that he doesn't get the Ancient Rage off.
5 and 2 when it's all said and done. Damage rate's pretty tight here. Willow pulling herself a little bit out in front. We saw a lot of that. I mean, we sat on Sray's cam for a little bit there, and he was just laying down the pressure onto the objective. And the fake fly, ooh, time and space comes out here.
Oh,
and the
ow.
instant ghost onto Eevee. He didn't even need to spit. And he gets the double kill. The Immortal keeping him up at 60 HP. Value town.
Oh, man, that was just primo. That was a fine cut of steak right there as far as Paladins plays goes. And you expect he is charging top dollar for that. Vampire Lord looking very, very sketchy here in this Stone Keep fight. The Eevee has not paid dividends whatsoever. Hilltime, a great player, but just not able to make it happen against what Onslaught feel like is just an onslaught of damage.
Skeppy thrusts out of the Ice Storm as well. I mean, nothing is going Vampire Lord's way at the moment here. But there is distraction here. Neither of these blasters super easy to commit onto, and the read from Skeppy, he knows that Eevee's going to be wormholing back any second now. Lines it up, slams it home. Now Sray can actually have control of the keep for the first time this game, playing off the balcony. And it's just so easy after that point. Richie will find the final kill of that engagement as the boys of Onslaught try and get back in here, and they don't have much time to play with because comeback mechanic is enabled.
93% and counting here, 85% for Vampire Lord, however, so this is important for Vampire Lord to try to make the most out of what they've got, and Sray is really the only beacon of hope, the beacon of light that can change it all. He's got to trade out with Skeppy, but so far the Dragon has had the value here in this one, and again, just a day late, Sray gets the trip, but he doesn't get the objective. So unfortunate. Willow just, man, right off the mark.
With that comeback mechanic, still not enough down the stretch here for Vampire Lord. They have their Spite available, but a small consolation prize, one they wish they could have used to grab the objective. And now the boys of Onslaught trying to live up to their namesake here and keep the pressure applied to continue their near-perfect series here against Vampire Lord.
Here we go, minute 50 now. And you could expect that I think Onslaught are going to absolutely take this game, take this set, but, you know, Vampire Lord have to be fighting for something a little bit bigger than that. I mean, this is where you start to see the mettle of a team. You start to see their value as competitors, and they're still doing everything they can. They haven't given up. They haven't started walking off the map. I appreciate all these things, and those moments right there where you're about to pull it back. Saray gets that triple kill. It's all but just standing a few feet to the left, and things still go wrong. Those are really tough ones to get over.
Dinking the headshots through onto Zin, forcing out the Billow. Cool Matt spots out the only retreat possible, but his team is not exactly around him in full force. Starting to push through. Wonderful falling very low. That Solar Blessing is going to miss him as well. Even the best miss him every once in a while. The Sentinels will come through as Cool Matt looks to lock down the enemy high ground.
54 seconds left. And it looks like Wonderful is playing wonderfully. He needs to hit a few more. Misses those. Willow just hovering, fluttering over the objective, but he's losing all of his teammates there. I think this might be it for Onslaught. They've just got one little block to push here on Stone Keep, and I think that they're going to make it. This Solar Blessing says so as well.
Final Faith Flight potentially coming out here. Ancient Rage as well, but there is a Dragon Punch from Skeppy to potentially answer that through. Let's see if it lands, and ring around the rosy all you want, Asclepius. Onslaught will claim their victory here and now.
Incredible stuff here, and of course, you know, we would expect this region will continue to be interesting, but it's Curse These Hands and Onslaught who end up being the ones who are going to have to battle it out next week and see who's going to be your land representative, although Onslaught looking pretty good now that Miracle's back.
Yeah, I'm excited, though, that it stays this way. I'm excited that Curse These Hands and Onslaught win, so we do get that incredibly exciting matchup in the final week to decide it all. It's really the first time that North American Xbox, of all the regions, I mean, this is the one that surprises me the most to see it come down to the wire, because this is a region that has always had an absolutely dominant competitor, not only in that region, but then when they get to land too, they normally still dominate.
Well, Elevate and Oni Channers coming up next in NAPS4, and those are both must-win games for the top two teams in the region. But we'll see if there's a way for warm-up to maybe throw off some of those hot streaks that they've got. We'll be coming to you after this break with the final games here of the Paladins Console League for today. I'm Rain Day Pretty Hair. See you in just a sec.